光に燃える闘志があるなら巨大な敵を撃てよ撃てよ撃てよ正義の光をぶつけろガンダム機動戦士ガンダムガンダム
The attack on Torrington Base came from nowhere, and the Federal forces, most of them rookie pilots, were completely caught off guard. Using a network of spies, namely Nick Orville, Anavel Gato was able to successfully infiltrate Torrington Base to steal the Physalis after it was loaded with a nuclear warhead. Under the cover of night, he brazenly strode into the Gundam hangar, entered the cockpit, and left the base with it. This was the signal to attack, as 3 Dome Tropin units and the YMS-16 Zamel began their assault. The Dome Tropin machines were respec'd specifically to operate in desert environments, and were equipped with extra filters and cooling systems to deal with the harsh climate. This made it a devastatingly fast unit in its element, though it was otherwise unchanged from the original design specs. The Zamel was a monster of a mobile suit, a full heavy artillery unit, the first of its kind. As mobile suit refinements continued to change the face of warfare, it was a rare unit that could operate as the Zamel did, but it was a nasty mobile suit all the same. Its main weapon was a 680mm cannon. The Zamel had a separate gunner for its cannon, making it capable of moving and firing all at once, something other artillery suits lacked. This mobility gave it unparalleled damage output, which was enhanced by an extra 8-tube missile launcher for slightly more close-in fighting. It was, however, still vulnerable to weapons fire, as was proved by South Burning's GM Type C during the attack. Gato and his crew escaped from Australia and made tracks for Kimbereet Base in Africa, where Zeon holdovers had an HLV waiting for him. The Albion, the ship designed as a next-generation carrier for next-generation mobile suits, gave chase, but the Zeon forces held them off, and Gato escaped the pull of Earth's gravity to return to outer space. Operation Stardust began in earnest once the Physalis reached outer space and the Delaz fleet. Agil Delaz, their captain, had been planning his revenge against the Earth Federation for a long time, and the time for his attack had finally come. His plan was to expose the corruption of the Earth Federation by using their own weapon against them, as well as cripple the Earth's retaliatory capacity by scuttling their navy. And unfortunately for the Federal forces, his plan would come to devastating fruition. He would also bring one Shima Gadahao, an ex-Zeon lieutenant colonel and current pirate, into his fold, working at bringing disparate elements of Zeon together as a united front. However, he only recognized her former loyalties and not where they currently stood. Shima Gadahao was a cunning pirate, and her loyalty to Zeon died over the 3 years that she and her crew had been forced into piracy. Her loyalty was dubious enough that even Delaz failed to trust her with good reason. However, the fleet she commanded was too valuable to let fall by the wayside. One of Shima's greatest weapons was her 30-odd fleet of Gelgoog Marine model mobile suits. These units, refined and rebuilt with extra armor, better propellant, and overall brought up to speed with current Federation standards, were more than capable of meeting Federal mobile suits at the same level. Considering her fleet was comprised now entirely of veterans, the Shima fleet was a force to be reckoned with. While resupplying on the moon, Ko Araki meets Kelly Leisner, a former Zeon ace who had lost an arm during the war. He leads a peaceable life in the junkyard, but dreams of going back into combat. His mobile weapon of choice? The Vault Wallow. A mobile armor that was designed off of the Big Road chassis. It carried a megaparticle cannon, missiles, and anti-aircraft beam weapons, and a specialist weapon called a Plasma Leader. Similar to the one deployed by the Adzam, this could overload electronics without the need for wires to carry the charge to the enemy. Its armor was heavy enough to shrug off beam rifle shots without an eye field, and that was something that the newly deployed GP-01FB Full Vernian would have to contend with. The GP-01FB featured extra vernier pods all over its body, built-in propellant tanks and 2 universal boost pods on the backpack, giving it superior acceleration and mobility for its time. However, the trade-off was extreme G-forces due to massive acceleration. The beam rifle it was equipped with also featured an E-Pack, the beam rifle equivalent to an ammunition magazine. Previously, beam rifles could only fire so long before running out of charge and becoming an expensive club, but now, resupply was only an E-Pack away. The impact of the GM upgrades were felt all across the board. The new GM Custom featured a number of upgrades to its designs, now that the Federation had more time to develop them. The machine was more expensive than a standard model, however, and the construction complexity kept it limited. It was a very well-balanced unit, though it lacked specialization. It was also capable of using beam weaponry, though it rarely was equipped with them, and its low production kept it as a machine, specifically for ace pilots. The GM Cannon II was a strange machine, heavily armored with 2 beam cannons on its shoulders. However, much like the original gun cannon, its speed was lacking and mobility was low. Still, both units would be approved for combat operations during the Grips conflict as featured in Zeta Gundam, a new translation. The Physalis' nuclear warhead struck home at Pohnpei Island, the renamed Solomon, and the ensuing heat and light crippled or destroyed 2/3 of the Federation Navy. Operation Stardust was now fully underway, and the Earth Federation had no idea what was coming next.